Hi everybody, welcome to the show. Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Raising A to Z. It is a YouTube channel all about homeschooling, and my name is Amanda. I am a teacher turned homeschool mom, and today I'm talking a little bit about how to build your own unit studies. Right now, it is late spring, and everybody is, well, not everybody, but a lot of people are starting to think ahead to the fall. Think about what they're going to do next fall when it comes to curriculums and homeschool plans. And for a lot of people, that means what kind of unit study topics and unit studies are we going to do when the fall comes. So unit studies can be great if you have multiple kids in your home, especially if you have kind of a bigger age span, because you can take one topic and you can all study it and you can all learn about that topic at your different levels, but really you're teaching one topic. And the great thing about unit studies, another amazing thing about them, is that when you are teaching with unit studies, you're often covering multiple subjects at once underneath the umbrella of your one topic. So instead of having to teach math, science, social studies, English, art, like all these subjects to each child individually, you can teach what you want individually, but then also teach science, social studies, and art, for example, under the umbrella of one unit study, and everyone can kind of do their activities under that umbrella and do it at their level. So unit studies are super popular. They're a great way to follow your kids' interests, and they're really easy to build yourself. So we have a whole video on how to build a unit study. I will link that here. So if you click the link over to the unit study video, we'll also put it down in the description below. There is a link where you can actually get our free unit study planner. It is a PDF and you can print it off and fill it out. That's kind of the template that I use when I'm doing my unit study planning and building my units. So that will be down below in the description. But I've had a lot of questions of like, what does this actually look like? Like it's great in theory, but what does that actually look like when it comes to building a unit study? Like how do you actually, the nitty gritty of building a unit study? So that's what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna show you how I built this past month's unit study. But before I do that, why don't you take a second to subscribe and click the bell to get notifications so that you know every time we put out one of these awesome videos. This is how I did it. This past month, for the month of May, we have been studying plants and seeds and gardening. That was kind of our topic for the month. So the first thing you do when you want to start a unit study is that you are going to pick a topic. For the month of May, we picked the topic of plants and seeds. A, it was something our kids were interested in, and B, it is very seasonally appropriate. It doesn't really make sense to study plants in January when we live in Canada and have like 12 feet of snow. So right now is a great time to study that. So that's why we're doing it right now. The second thing that I do when I start planning a unit is I look for what I call a big book. So this is going to be kind of a novel or a chapter book, something that is going to take us at least 14 days to kind of read through, and we're going to read a little bit throughout the month. Usually, sometimes it takes longer depending on the book, sometimes it's shorter, but I like to have a big book that hits kind of our general theme or topic of the month, but is just kind of fun and interesting, and that's what we read at bedtime. So I call it my big book. So for the month of May, our big book was Zoe and Sassafras, The Pod and the Bog. And that has just been a small chapter book series that our kids have just absolutely been loving. And I highly recommend it. If you have kids who are interested in anything sciencey, check it out. The third thing I do is I gather a whole bunch of books that are on or related to our topic that are smaller books. So smaller picture books, poetry books, field guides, fiction stories that are related to our topic, nonfiction books. I do that from my own collection. You can see we have quite a collection back here, but then I'll also make a fairly large order from the library and curbside pick that up. And that's what we'll use. So I put that up on our shelves and the kids absolutely love it. So because when we sit down for our morning reading time, they can pick from any of those books. So sometimes, like I said, it's a story about plants or a seed or something like that. Sometimes it's like an informational nonfiction book about leaves or flowers. Like there's something there, and everything is on topic. So we're always kind of staying focused on our topic, but we're getting all different kinds of information and different kinds of ideas all about the topic. So if you don't have shelves like we do up in our activity room, a basket is a great way to do this. Just having like a basket of your books of the month fantastic way, and it takes a lot less space. So the fourth thing I do is a kind of working backwards type of idea. I pick our big project. So that's going to be like our final culminating big thing that we're going to kind of do towards the end of our unit. And for the month of May, because we're doing plants and seeds, it is definitely going to be planting our garden. I like to put this as kind of like the fourth thing that we do, because it's always good to kind of like think backwards. So like, if this is where I'm starting and this is where I want to end, what do we want to learn before that? So it can be a really great way to help you do a couple of the next steps if you know where you're trying to end, if that makes sense. Number 5, I always like to put in a good field trip. I think field trips are a great way to get out of the house and make homeschooling so much more accessible in real life. And they don't have to be complicated. They don't have to be fancy. For our field trip for the month of May, we went to the greenhouse because that's a perfect field trip for learning about plants and seeds. And so we went to the greenhouse and picked up some watermelon plants. We picked up a couple of jalapeno pepper seedlings. We got some seeds and needed some like garlic heads, and we needed some, the girls picked out a couple flowers of their own that they wanted to plant in their little flower pots. And so that was a great activity for us. We learned about perennials and annuals and seeds versus bulbs, and it was such a great field trip. Field trips are fantastic. It's just a great way to make learning like fun and hands-on and real life. So number 6 is I like to plan some hands-on activities. We're pretty relaxed around here. I aim to do 1 to 2 activities related to our topic a week. I feel like at our kids' age, that's more than enough. Maybe as they get older, we'll have to incorporate something, maybe make it for sure at least 2, maybe 3. But depending on your kids and your groups and all the other subjects that you're teaching, 1 to 2 times a week is more than enough to be doing a hands-on activity with your kids. And it doesn't have to be crazy. It doesn't have to be wild or messy. There's so many great ideas out there. So what I do, I like to go to Pinterest. It is fantastic. And I start typing in gardening hands-on activities for kids, plants hands-on activities for kids, seeds hands-on activities for kids. And I just start picking the ones that I think my kids are going to be interested, and the ones that I think are teaching the types of topics that I want them to learn. And you get some really great ideas on there. Like some of the ideas that we came up with this month, I probably never would have done had it not been for Pinterest, because I never would have thought about it. I'm a big proponent of beg, borrow, and steal when it comes to teaching. And I think if someone else comes up with a great idea, that's definitely, and they put it up somewhere, steal it. It makes your life so much easier. You don't have to come up with everything on your own. So for the month of May, we did a couple different activities. We did a bean in a bag. So we grew a little plant, bean seed inside a like Ziploc bag that we taped to the window. That was fun because every day we could actually see how the seed broke, and then how the roots came out, and then made the shoot, and it started to go up towards the sun. It was a lot of fun. The kids absolutely loved it. And we also did Georgia O'Keeffe flower painting. So Georgia O'Keeffe was an artist, and one of the things she's known for was painting flowers up close. And so that's what we did. We read about her, we went outside and collected some flowers, came back in and painted those flowers up really, really close. And so that was our second hands-on activity, and it was also a fun art project. Earlier in the month, we did some seed planting. So we took some of our seeds and we planted them. So the stuff that we were gonna start at home. So we started some cucumbers, a couple pumpkins, what else did we start? Some peppers and some tomatoes. We started those at home, and so that was an activity. We sat there, we picked out the seeds, we put them, watched the little packs that you put the water in and they expand. It becomes like a little seedling soil thing. Anyway, we did that. It was fun. They had an absolute blast, and they got to plant their seeds, and then over several weeks of the month, we get to watch those little seeds grow into little seedlings that at the end of the month we eventually planted in our garden boxes. We went on some nature walks, and we did like walks around our property, and we did a lot of like plant identification, very easy activities, and our kids learned some really cool things, especially if they saw any flowers or well, mostly flowers because they're very easy to identify, and we would like look them up and figure out what kind of flowers they are. And so we learned that we have in our neighbor's yard that they have dogwood pansies. Anyway, they have some kind of different type of wild pansy that lives in their yard, and that was like Alexi's thrilled with it, but she learned it and actually remembers it while we keep forgetting what it is. So that's been an activity that we've done. We've done a lot of like identifying plants. easy, fun, and educational. And the last thing we did was we did a project where we made some bouquets. So we took a piece of cardboard, we painted a vase at the bottom and made kind of a shape at the top and cut it out and then drilled some holes, and we went around and picked flowers and put them in the holes, and so we had this like cool vase bouquet kind of thing. And so that was a lot of fun. And the girls absolutely loved that. And so those were kind of the activities that we did for the month of May. It was 5 activities, and it was just, that's what we did. I know it doesn't seem like much, but when you're adding in, you know, reading a book from our shelf every day, when you're adding in reading a passage from our book every night, plus doing all these activities, we're already going on field trips, like we're already getting into a lot of things, and we're still not done. So what else did we do? The next thing that we did is we like to watch some documentaries. I think screen time can be really cool. There's so many great shows out there and documentaries and educational things that you can learn from YouTube and from Netflix and different documentary series. And so I like to, if I can find one, try to find something that is kind of related. And so one of the ones that we watched was Magic School Bus, the classic ones. And it was all about seeds and where seeds came from. And the girls absolutely had a blast watching that. It was fun, it was easy, and it was a great rainy day kind of activity, right? Learning when you can't really go outside because it's absolutely pouring. Always good to have a couple documentaries if you can on hand for like rain days, sick days, you don't feel like doing anything days. Documentaries are a great way to have learning, but also make it really fun and easy for you as a parent. And then the last thing I like to do, if I can, it's not always possible, I like to find a recipe. And so obviously when you have like plants as your theme, you can do a lot of recipes because a lot of food comes from plants, obviously. So we did a really fun activity that I found from Pinterest where we actually made like a lunch or snack actually out of different parts of the plant. So we had like broccoli is the flower, and we had celery is the stem, carrots is the roots, we had tomatoes and cucumbers, which are the fruit, we had lettuce, which is the leaves. So we did kind of like all the different parts of the plant, but as food, and how we can eat the different parts of the plants, and they all have different roles and all that kind of stuff. So that was a really fun activity. It was hands-on and it was delicious. A little dip. It was great. It was like having a deconstructed salad. So that's how we plan our unit study for the month. On top of our unit study, we also do a lot of other activities, and we do language and math 3-4 times a week. So that's what we do. It works for us. So I hope you see how easy it is to build a unit study. And one of the great benefits of building your own unit study is you can really pick topics that your kids are interested in. I know there are a ton of great unit studies out there that are like worksheet based. They're fantastic. I know that there's lots, you can find them on Pinterest, and they're free or very low cost. And that's great. If that's your style, go for it. But sometimes your kids get into a topic and there's like nothing out there. Or like for example, for us, a lot of like the social studies units that we see out there are actually American. And so like we're not really learning about the War of Independence. Like that's not a thing that we'll probably learn because that's not part of our cultural history. So we'll have to look for something else. So this way, when you build your own unit studies, you can kind of build them around topics that are for your family, that are for your culture, your area, and that are meeting your kids' needs and what they really like to do. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys learned something and were inspired to build your own unit study. Again, before you go, if you want to click subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications, we put out new videos, which we do pretty much every single Monday. And if you want to see some more cool content, how we actually do our unit studies on a regular basis, you can follow us on TikTok, on Instagram, and on Facebook, and we post cool stuff there all the time. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.